Once you have reached that, you really do not need to struggle much. So the struggle is the transition. And in that transition, let me tell you that it is going to be varying in degrees. But the first thing is to make up the will. The first thing is to agree that I want to change. When you do make an attempt, when you do try to bring about a change, you will see that it oscillates. It oscillates. First, it oscillates to you being a little hopeful and a little positive, and then the energy of your negativity dominates you and it overpowers you. But let me just tell you why it overpowers. If you have to assume energy in terms of quantity, it is just too much compared to the kind of energy, the kind of quantum of energy or quantity of that kind of energy to be dominating it. That is why we feel overwhelmed. But because we feel overwhelmed, it would be a dire mistake, a kind of tragedy, if we believed that that energy is true, that energy is what I am made of. So the only takeaway from this video that I believe is truly worth it for you to know is that it's not true. It's a choice. A negative mind or a positive mind is a choice. The transition, like I said, is going to be troublesome. The transition is going to be difficult. But the transition is where you have to take all support to bring about. The support that you bring about should come predominantly by the company you keep. That is why in your transition of a negative to a positive mind, you need to keep the right company. You need to keep the company of those people who inspire you, those people who believe in you, those people who are going to push you no matter what, or are not going to demotivate you when you fall back. At least, we do not want people to push us and say we're great. At least let's not demotivate us. Let's not say, oh, it was horrible, our attempt was horrible, our views are horrible. No, our views are better. We can get better from there. In fact, Vivekananda's most powerful quote was, we never move from error to truth, we always move from lower truth to higher truth. And every attempt at success every failure that comes in our attempt of success is nothing but a learning, is nothing but a blessing, because it has made us that much stronger. So we need to be amongst those kind of people who push us, who not just push us, but at least not demotivate us and push us back. We need to ensure that during our transition phase, we need to be in the right company and the right content. The content, those kind of content, what we read, what we watch, what we hear from people, and the interactions we have need to be of that sort. Now, what am I saying that you have to cut away from a company that you're having and then make this? No, I'd say forget about cutting away from the company that's going to pull you down. At least make those kinds of friends or develop those kinds of relationships that are with people who are positive in nature. Just work on that. And so that's the first thing. The second thing is, during the transition, every idea that you hear, every event that you come across, or every story that you see, it's not enough that you just hear about it and think that it has made a change in you. Like, you watch a movie in which a person's extremely hopeless and he kind of dominates himself and rises above. Or you could meet a person, who thought that his life was absolutely miserable and he was absolutely negative, and then he met a person on the street who was cheerful, who did not get his daily meals but was always hopeful that he would. And when this man meets this person, he says that I have hope in mankind, that the hope that I have had till today is what's giving me food. Having learned this lesson from a street man, that man changes and then he goes on to develop his life. I'm just giving you a story. Now, hearing something like this, it's not enough that we just get a thrill in our body and feel like we're pumped up, and then we think we've got the motivation. Here's where meditation comes. When we come across instances, we got to take time out and we've got to sit and we've got to relive and rethink and recreate those instances, those stories, or those meetings that you've had with people, conversations that you've had with people, or the lives of some saints or sages. You've got to recreate that in your meditation. We've got to relive that, and we've got to build that energy. There was a spark. That spark we all feel, but most of us don't end up making anything out of that spark, because we hear a lot of stories, we come across a lot of scenes in the movies, but we just don't seem to be hopeful. It is because we are not cultivating that energy. There was a spark that has to be made into a flame and finally into a huge fire, and this can only be done in meditation. So we have to take these instances, we have to imagine them, we have to relive them, recreate it in our imagination, which is called visualization. It's a very, very important aspect of our personality. Our mind is made or equipped with the power to visualize, but this power of visualization is not merely visualization, it is actually a modification of energy. Whenever you're visualizing anything positive, you're creating also at the background a positive energy. Whenever you're visualizing anything negative, you're also creating a negative energy, and that energy will pervade your subconscious, that energy will pervade your conscious level, it'll pervade your conscious, and it'll also pervade your entire being. Your body will be made out of that energy. So visualization is a very powerful thing, and we have to ensure what we are visualizing. If you're going to visualize people criticizing others, if you're going to visualize and take joy in it, and if you're going to visualize how others should be pulled down, how he's not right, how that guy is wrong, how everything is negative, we are going to be cultivating that energy, and in the end we are the ones who are going to lose. While on the other hand, we cultivate a positive sense, a positive eventful imagination, we realize that we are going to be cultivating that kind of an energy. So in the transition, we keep the right company, and we hear the right things, and we also visualize. As we do this, we come across a gradual shift from, like I said, the negative to the positive. We come across a gradual shift. In that gradual shift, there is always going to be percentages. There's always going to be maybe 5 steps ahead, 3 steps backward, again 7 steps ahead, 4 steps backward. It is going to be like that because, like I said, the energy dominates. The negative energy dominates. But we should also be aware that the positive energy is gaining momentum and it is dominating our being. So this kind of a meditation is extremely necessary if one wants to have a healthy mind, and this kind of a meditation will have a very obvious impact in our day-to-day activities. It is something that you can see for yourselves, and it is something that you will be certain, and it is something that you will be certain. I have told you in the previous video that developing all these 5 kinds of minds, we are going to see, in developing them, we are going to see a tangible change in our being. Once we are positive enough, hopeful enough, we can look back on the negative ideas. We can look back upon those ideas that had pulled us down. In the transition, it will pull us down, but let's not think about it. Let us just go to the positive. Let us always just put our ideas there, put our head there. Once we reach there, we can look back and we can see actually for ourselves where the error is, where the problems are, and that is where you need the right kinds of people to address those kinds of issues that used to pull you down. You'll see that there was a flaw in the thinking. You will see that there was an error in the way you perceived it.